Zoom just told me the recording is in progress. That was
yeah,
weird.
that was
That's a new
weird.
thing.
I hope everybody got to hear that robot.
I kind of do
introduction.
too, actually. That was
Hey, everybody.
strange. Hi.
Welcome to the Trying to Be Better podcast with Joel and Steve podcast.
We're on
I
fire,
said podcast.
baby.
We're real tired. It's actually we're recording on a Sunday night. We normally record on a Thursday, but
Yeah,
I am.
we got a thing. This
I've
week
got
is
a
like
thing.
chock full.
It's chock full of things.
Yeah, so hopefully nothing earth-shattering happens between Sunday and Thursday when we would normally be doing this.
Otherwise, if it does, we're out of the loop. So
Yeah, we can do this.
We can do this.
We can do this. And if
What is
something does happen while you're off doing whatever it is that you're doing, I'll just make a little disclaimer.
Yeah. So as of right now, it's May 23rd. If the world ends on the 24th, we're sorry we didn't talk about it.
But yeah, this will drop for Jack, and whoever else relies on this on Friday mornings.
My friend Eric Ojeda, he likes to he plans this around on his Friday.
I love it. That makes me so happy.
Yeah. Hi, Eric.
Hi, Eric.
Tonight's podcast is brought to you by San Pellegrino Essenza delicious cocoa and coffee flavored mineral water.
What? No.
Yeah.
Okay.
My mom brought it to our family dinner and she took one drink of it and about spit it out all over the table.
That's kind of the immediate reaction I had to that description.
You'd think it tastes like crap, and probably to 90% of the world they would. But I think it's delicious.
Well, good for you. On my end, I've got a plain old regular lemon LaCroix.
Well, how basic?
Now,
That's super basic.
Sad. It is basic. I'm a basic bitch.
You heard it here, folks. Steve's a basic bitch.
Yatch.
Oh man. So we feel like we need to back up a second because our last podcast may have gave our billions of listeners the impression that Joel and Steve were just happy as clams to go back out into the world and there was no problem.
I kind of am.
I am too.
Yes. But
I'm
for
also
every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Cause and
Joel, it sounds like you've had a reaction to.
I had a bit of a reaction.
Opening up business.
So this is a podcast. Well, Steve texted me and was like, what are we going to talk about? And I kind of said I had a thing. And then he's like, well, last time we had, it was all fun and games and we didn't really have too much trying to be better. And I'm like, well,
we're just reminiscing about cool concerts.
Yeah. And talking about fun stuff we're going to do and everything's great.
Yeah.
So the next night, due to some circumstances and chatting with some people about logistics, about returning to in-person experiences, I had a moment, dude. I had a real emotional.
Yeah, what was that about?
So it was, I think the easy answer or the unskillful answer would be that it was about, I was angry at people for saying things and not wanting to help, trying to put things together, whatever. That is not the truth. And I saw that truth immediately. What really happened and what it's about is that I had this bowling ball of grief in my stomach. Grief. I had a grief and anxiety in this, this cocktail, this San Pellegrino.
Knowing you as well as I know you, the anxiety I totally get.
Yeah.
Like I can see Joel having anxiety about, lots of things, but just reopening. It's different. What's it look like? And therefore, here comes the anxiety train.
Right.
What's
all
grief?
Aboard?
Right. Yeah. What's grief?
So the grief. Okay. This is very interesting. And I'll try to be as honest and as vulnerable as I possibly can. And I'll tell you a little bit of the story and I'll be general because I think that'll be more helpful. After this conversation about logistics ended with some people that I let's say work with, although I don't really work with them, I'm being very vague. I got really angry. I got really emotionally upset, and it just felt like, oh my God, there's so many things to worry about. We don't know how this is all going to go. We don't have answers for all of this. There's not a contemporary example about how the general public sort of navigates this. I've seen businesses put out on Instagram, hey, everybody, what do you think? Should we follow the mask mandate or not? Or because it's gone, would you wear them? Like, nobody knows what to do. And so that I was kind of in that space. I was like, I don't know what this group, these people that I've done this thing with for over 20 years, we have no precedent on how to navigate this. And it was very unnerving and scary. But at the same time, dude, I like got upset and I talked to Kirsten, and I just got to give a shout out to my partner, to my wife, my love. She lets me have those big feelings. She does not judge them. She does not take them personally, and gave me the space to just have a freak out a little bit. And then I'm like, I need to go for a walk. And it was already like 10:30, 11 o'clock. So I went on like a 5-mile walk, and like halfway through it, I realized, and I called her and I was like, I am going to mourn as much as I didn't love all the time being so remote. I have learned to cope with the isolation, the Zoom world, the sort of very selective social interactions. I have learned, and I was telling Kirsten this a while ago, I have learned to accept the way the world had to shift so quickly because of survival, that it was not very anxiety driven because it was so survival driven. And it was like, okay, this is the way things are, accept it now, move on. And I put the idea of things kind of returning on a dime in way down in the basement, way down in Joel's feelings basement. And all of a sudden, concerts, parties, people hanging out, all this stuff. Let's go back. Let's meet together. Let's rent that space again. Let's have that stuff. And I was grieving the loss. And here's the thing, like, you may not feel the same. I'm not expecting you to, but I guarantee you there's people out there that get it. It's like, not like, oh, I loved being so apart from everybody. No, I didn't love that. But when you form a habit out of survival, and then you have to let that go, there's a certain amount of grief there. It's like I was grieving what I had already adapted to and just sort of accepted as the way things were. When I had to accept that this was the way things were, it was more beneficial to me to say, this is it, and let go of anything coming back, because this is how you can be happy with the way things are. Does that make sense?
Totally.
So
I think that, I understand what you're saying, and I think that that's all pretty valid. That hasn't been my experience necessarily, but I can totally see that happening.
Yeah.
People that are looking at me from the outside maybe have a different opinion about it, but I think I've approached this whole thing with a fair amount of stoicism, which is like, oh, there's a global pandemic going on. Well, I'm not going anywhere for a year.
Right.
I'm sure as shit not going to trust the talking heads.
Right.
We'll see what the CDC comes out with. I'm probably going to listen to the scientists more than the Fox News talking heads.
Right.
But we'll see what happens. Right.
Yeah.
And I just was like, this is what we have. We have the technology, fired up some Zoom meetings and got, it's like, well, kind of, I've been going to work this whole time. So it's like, it's a little different thing. Like, I was never on lockdown.
Wow.
Really. Yeah. Except for like in my home and my family, like, we didn't do shit last summer. We got chickens,
right. Yeah.
And that's it pretty much. And so this thing of reopening back up, it's kind of like, well, okay, I guess we're reopening back up now. And that's kind of nice, because I'm, we're going to go see a baseball game, and I'm really looking forward to that. We got stuff, but it's like, I haven't, I think I've been more, the things that I've been frustrated about are, just people,
there's plenty there, right?
Well, I was telling you, we were talking before, like, there's an ice cream shop in my neighborhood, and one of our friends was there, and she sent us a picture of the bar next door that now has a sign on it that says, if you have a mask on, we won't serve you.
Oh my God.
And it's like, but see, even that, I'm like, well, of course that's happening, because that's the kind of establishment it is.
Right.
Of course they're doing that. Like, why wouldn't they do that? It's like that. It's like Madsen's,
Right.
Like, God, okay. Like, of course that guy's doing that.
Which shout out to a previous guest, Mike Simrad, who does those Saturday morning live.
Oh yeah.
Face filters. He's got a version of the guy from that bowling alley, and it's amazing.
It's amazing.
But that's really,
I've started watching those things too. I'm like, it's so perfect.
it's so great.
He's very talented.
He's very talented, and his poor wife Carrie.
She loves it.
She does. She loves it.
Yeah.
On some level, she loves it.
But so like that's not that I haven't had my own feelings about things, but I don't know. So thus far, I haven't really gotten that twisted up about any of this, just because it's like I actually, and you'll appreciate this. It's kind of like Slaughterhouse 5, where they come up out of the bomb shelter.
Oh my God.
Right.
That is a great,
like they're just walking around picking up body parts.
Wow.
Right.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. Which is
it's like okay, so I guess we're picking up parts of bodies today.
I guess that's what we're doing
we're
today.
Looking for incinerated bones.
Yeah.
I guess that's what our life is now. Like this hasn't been that bad.
Wow. I want to go back to something you said too, though. We've talked about this. That was very helpful for you to say to me about your timeline. That I adapted that. I adopted that. I took that and I said, okay, that's reasonable.
Give it a year.
And that was helpful. But in that time, though, at that time, you were still driving to and from work
every day.
You worked at a health facility and had to be there.
Yeah.
I, however, got my routine life and whole experience completely. It was upended.
Yeah, very much
all the way through that summer into the fall.
And
I think part of the grief stuff and like the feeling stuff, if I'm honest, like I had to do like an end of the year reflection report about all the things I mentioned it last podcast.
Yeah.
And I was really, I was like, this is my one chance as an instructor to really reflect on what it's like to teach during a global pandemic, a global event. So I'm like, I'm going to really take the opportunity to reflect on that. And I didn't realize how much stuff I just kind of threw in the basement, so that was part of it. But yeah, that spring, and I know that we've talked about the pandemic, but thank you all for continuing to listen to us, because this is a different version of our whole collective experiences and I think all of that stuff came out, and I was grieving what I had to tell myself was okay and new normal, and I had to accept. Well, when at the time when it happened, it was super fucking traumatic and scary for me,
and the thing, from my perspective, because I do feel like me going to, I wasn't going to work at Target, with the general public,
or
Walmart or whatever, having to deal, like I was going to a public place, but like it's, of all of them, it's probably the best one to be in.
Right. You can shut your office door.
I have an office, and I was not general public facing, most of the time anyway. And like, for example, our air handling system has UV filtering in it.
Nice. Yeah.
And every day we had blue UV light things going around all the rooms that may possibly have had a COVID and getting them zapped just to kill any, so like, I got a buddy that works in a grocery store, and he had to fight to get a bottle of hand sanitizer.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, just that kind of level of like, that was not my experience.
Right.
So I think that just getting in the car and driving to work every day was very normalizing.
Yeah.
And then I would come home, and instead of having to run around doing whatever hell thing we usually would be doing in non-pandemic times, we sat and played with the chickens and played poker and watched music videos as a family. And it was really kind of delightful on that level.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like,
that's you and I had a very different experience, because I didn't set foot on the place where I work until late July, because I had to do a few things in order to get ready for teaching.
Right.
So from, early March until late July,
and you had to retool your entire work existence
100%,
which I absolutely did not have to do. I had to wear a mask.
Right.
That was basically what changed,
Yeah. Completely retool
which,
it.
for the record, I was totally fine doing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, same. I mean, teaching in a mask was the least of my sort of an adaptation. It was like, how do I how do I teach scene? How do I teach us, scene work? How do I work with actors that, I can't give them a scene where they're going to potentially touch, kiss, whatever. I truncated one of my acting classes. They only did one scene. This is how I had to adapt. They had to do, I was like, okay, these students need to have the experience of working on a scene. And the scene that I picked was from Tennessee Williams' play, The Glass Menagerie. And it's a play that called the scene is commonly known as the Gentleman Caller scene, where this guy comes to this very shy, try to court this very shy girl because he's told to, essentially. And they really don't ever really look at each other or interact. And I said, everybody's doing the same scene in case anybody gets sick so that we can just plug and play. And I was like, I mean, it worked, but it was terrible. You know what I mean? So it's like, I had to completely change everything.
As I've known you a fair amount of time, and I've seen you adapt, and I think that you successfully pivoted a lot of things to an online digital format like that. I can't remember the name of it, but that deal you guys produced that was done in the courtyard at Dome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's called, for anybody that wants to see it, Disconnection. I'll share it on our Instagram. It's called
it was great. Like my family sat and watched it, and we all thought it was really great. I mean, that was, I don't know if it was quite as impactful as like Gabriel's Horn or,
right.
Just because, but it was still like, given the circumstances. And I almost felt like the experience of, and I haven't told you this, but like the experience of watching it on my TV in my basement, I think almost was appropriate. Like I had a moment thinking like, well, this is actually, this is where we should be watching this.
Right. It wasn't like you were missing out as an audience member of what you could have had. It was like, no, this is where this is supposed to be.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's
like I instead, like it would have been different had I been sitting off to the side of that courtyard in a folding chair.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, like watching it on the TV in my basement was how that was supposed to be consumed. Or
that's actually a really that's a huge compliment, and I don't know that you know that, because I was trying to shoot that. I mean, I was using this like new stabilizer I shot that all on my iPhone, and I was using this new stabilizer we bought. And I was, playing the role of director and cinematographer, and I edited it all together. And so like things like that were really gorgeous and beautiful, but it was birthed out of necessity, right?
Well, necessity is the mother of invention.
There we go.
That's it.
So yeah, I mean, but
without deviation from the norm, progress is not possible.
Yeah. And so, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I don't want to give anybody the impression, or you the impression, that this was all a veil of tears and I was just a huddled mess. And I think there are people that I
know the truth, Joel.
I know. Well, there are people, I think, because they haven't seen my face on certain things, and I've been pretty much only on Zoom for, whatever. And the people that I've really only hung out with are people I ride bikes with, you on this, and my students and faculty that think that I am, that this was a miserable time. It's not all miserable, but there was a lot of good, and I didn't anticipate grieving what I was beginning to enjoy about the things that most people hated, like Zoom meetings, excuses to not be around other people. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, holy crap, like this is going to happen and I'm going to have to relearn. And I am 1000% okay with admitting that. And I don't know. It's just like, I am, I'm not terrified of the world.
You're going to have to reintegrate into society.
Yes. 100. Yes. I mean, I have a little bit, right? Like I've worked and all that stuff, but like what I was ruthlessly faced with on Friday night was the idea that I had a lot of feelings about this that I was not dealing with. And we want to go way down to the deep level and erase any circumstantial stuff that people could judge. I was ruthlessly shocked about how big my feelings were about what I was actively suppressing. And I have shocked by how energetic they were, but I was also grateful at all the tools I had. Cause like the next morning I did a long sit, this guided meditation about sitting with difficult emotions. And I was like, all right, everybody, it's like I see my emotions sometimes as this like, you know, like a Muppet show of variety of emotions, right?
It's like that movie Inside Out.
Exactly.
Or Upside Down, or whatever the hell it was called.
Inside Out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're all these different characters. And I'm like, all right, let's welcome.
Hey guys.
Everybody gets
Come on
the
in.
stage. Come on in. Everybody gets the microphone. Everybody gets the stage for a bit,
right.
you know? So that was pretty intense. But yeah,
it sounds intense.
I have some misgivings. I have spiritual guides in my life. I have a therapist. I'm going to deal with all of that this week, but,
and probably the week after,
and probably for a while, but it taught me again, dude, that like, for better or worse, I think I at least assumed growing up that my big feelings weren't allowed. I don't know if that was actually projected, but that's how it felt. And there was another iteration that as a 40-year-old man, I can allow the feelings to be there and let them out in healthy and safe ways and deal with them and move forward and still, do the things and still go to the baseball game with you and still get on a plane on next week and still go to concerts and all. I'm still going to walk through all that shit. I'm not going to hide in my basement, but I to just say, well, if I'm just going to go out there in the world, I obviously don't feel anything. That is so toxic. You know what I mean?
Don't call my stoicism toxic.
Oh, that's not what I meant. I mean, well, I get, is it? I mean, how?
Oh, maybe I'm just maybe I'm just suppressing rage.
Well, here's the thing. I don't want you to go full on falling down in 2 months, dude. Are you suppressing your shit?
I don't think so. Not about the pandemic anyway.
What are you suppressing, Steve?
Oh, good Lord. That's for the Patreon version.
Right. I don't have the letters behind my name to deal with whatever would come up either.
That's true. That's why I have a therapist.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, it's strange days. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's, it really kind of comes back to, this is what Marin talks about this. Like, I really think all of my drug experiences have really helped out during this time. Like, seriously, because it's like, oh, this universe is collapsing. Okay.
Dude, I believe you 100%. I believe that statement. I mean, I've in the span of one concert have died 1,000 times.
Right.
Yeah.
And just stood there and you come out of it, you're like, whoo.
Yeah.
Maybe I ought to change the way I live.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
And I think that there's actual scientific research based on that like psychedelics do allow people to prepare themselves for their own ego death or physical death or both.
100%.
Or for
you got to read. I got another shout out to that Michael Pollan book, How to Change Your Mind, because it's really fantastic. It is the best book I've ever read on. I mean, he's a researcher, and he dives in the amount of research that was done on psychedelics in like the 40s and 50s and then was censored and shelved for decades.
Right.
Is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And it's those taps are starting to get turned back on. And what the scientific community is finding is that like, wow, these things are really beneficial when done, when, are taken under when people are learning how to do them in their high school.
Yeah. Right.
And I mean, he takes mushrooms, he takes LSD in very controlled settings and talks about his experience because he wasn't going to write a book about it without doing it.
Yeah. Right.
But just that, I mean, MDMA is proving to be very effective for treating anxiety. Psilocybin mushrooms are proving to be effective in treating virtually everything.
Yeah, really are. Like that.
And
what's that? There's that documentary we saw like right before shutdown. God, it's not just about psilocybin, but that's part of it because it's all about the benefits of fungi.
Fantastic.
Paul
Stamets.
Paul
Stamets.
Stamets.
Is the world's foremost mycologist, and he's such an incredibly far out guy that that Comes a Time podcast with Oteil Burbridge.
Oh yeah.
He and Bob Weir actually talked to Paul Stamets, and it's mind blowing. I mean, the mushrooms are the fabric of the planet, basically.
Yeah. Right.
And,
It's
anyway, and I'm not talking about psilocybin. I'm talking about mushrooms.
Right. All fungi. It's the mycelium is is like the internet of all of the entire sort of planet in a way.
Of the biosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really far out. And that's why when I saw that article about I guess there's more and more like killer mushrooms, like mushrooms that'll kill, like they're increasing in quantity.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I'm like, well, that's because they're trying to protect the earth.
Yeah, they're doing their damn job.
Right. Yeah. Like, we're really kind of sick of you humans.
Yeah. Well, you've kind of done a number on this planet.
Yeah.
Oof.
And so it's like, so now here's the thing, Joel. It's like, of all the things that I've been saying the same shit for 30 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this pandemic, really, of all the things that I've been kind of worried about, it's like a little speed bump. Like, seriously, now we can get back to the real things that everybody's going to ignore.
Like climate change.
Right. That's not real.
No.
And and here's the other thing, Joel, is if it is, it's too late anyway. So,
I'm going to get really honest with you. And this is not, we did not pre-plan this one at all.
Oh boy, here we go.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah,
well, your outlook on, like you said, the things that you kind of, the overwhelming things that you're terrified of. A year and a half ago, I would have said, this experience is going to cause Steve to feel the way I'm feeling. Right. Again, you were a good, I don't know, Sherpa into the world of lockdown.
Oh, you poor bastard.
I know. And you're like, right now, whether we're recording a podcast or not, it's super helpful for me to hear what you're saying. Like, as your friend, it's super helpful to be like, all right, well, don't listen to the warring networks in your head, and don't listen to the warring networks on TV. Trust the science, move forward. But this is a new paradigm, dude. And it was kind of always going to happen, without getting too woo woo and weird.
And that's the other thing that I think has been helpful for me during this time, is realizing, and Mary Stankiewicz talks about this. Well, they all talk about it, is that, like, all of this has happened before. Yeah. This is nothing new.
Right.
The insurrection that didn't happen, the same thing happened in Germany in 1923. Hitler tried to have a thing. It failed. They slapped him on the wrist. 10 years later.
Right.
And the same thing's happening now.
Right. Yep.
The same thing's happening now. So we can fully expect that, in 4 years, probably there'll be another thing. Our dickhead governor is going to run for president. He probably won't get it because what's the really good looking guy from Missouri, whatever his name is?
Oh, I don't know.
God damn it, Josh Hawley.
Oh, you think he's a looker, Steve?
Well, he's a handsome man, and he's not. That's
not gonna hurt. That's not gonna hurt him.
No, it is not, and it's not. And it's not. And he's not. How I'm trying to put this diplomat. Fuck that. He's not a fucking moron.
He's not covered in orange fake tan and has shitty hair.
And he is, I'm sure, a world-class maniacal megalomaniac narcissist.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's also sharp.
Oh, that's the thing I've been saying too, is that, like, it's
the next Trump won't be doddering old man.
Yeah.
He's just been about himself his entire life.
He'll be more well-spoken and more pleasing to the eye. Yeah.
And pleasing to the eye, and smarter.
Right.
And more evil.
Yeah. Cool.
And he will probably get elected.
Right. Because
because
fascism.
Right, because fascism, 100%, and
Yeah.
people are really tired of those people coming to take their guns or whatever, their jobs or what, just stoke the fires, man. So those, it's like, and even with that, I'm like, I mean, what am I going to do about that? Stand by the federal building with my sandwich board? I mean,
Please. Well, we'll take the pod on tour and try to, save the
well,
world.
I mean, that's kind of part of the reason why I like doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
But it really is like, oh, so now we're now the pandemic is, well, it's not even over yet. How's it going in India?
Not good.
Not good.
Not good.
How's it going in South America?
Not
great.
good.
So we're not out of the woods yet by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
But for USA, we're number one. I mean, that just goes to show how much money can wash away problems.
Yeah, really.
I mean, we have bungled this thing just epically bungled the whole thing, and
Right.
we're doing better than a lot of the world. Not because we're great.
Not because we're great.
No.
But because we have,
tons of resources.
And the ability to monetize stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love anyway, I was gonna say, gosh, it's so nice that we can just go get these shots for free.
Yeah.
Why? How is that possible?
Yeah. Right. Huh. It's almost like healthcare available to the masses works.
Weird.
Yeah. Super weird.
Super weird.
So
anyway, that on a certain level, like I haven't had the emotional upheaval, although I did when I got my first shot, when I got my first jab.
Mm-hmm.
I got a little emotion about that because I think that on a certain level I've been in survival mode.
Yeah.
I just lock it down and get through what we got to get through.
Right.
For the sake of like my kids, my family, it's like I figured my kids would react as well to this as I did.
Yeah. Right. I had an emotional experience with that too. I think I think by the time I got stuck, other people had already gotten stuck. And so it seemed more normalized. You got your jab pretty early on.
I got mine in December. I was one of the first, probably 4,000 people in the state to get a vaccine.
Right. And so that was huge, I'm sure.
It was a big deal. It was really, and I wasn't expecting to, it just kind of worked out that way. And yeah, I mean, I was very grateful and it really was, especially after the second one. And once I kind of got out of that window, I was like, I'm free.
Yeah.
I mean, mostly, not entirely.
Sure.
It's not 100%.
And
we need to keep that in mind,
You know what? I'm putting some things together. Like, I don't think I let myself feel the freedom of being inoculated or being vaccinated until graduation happened and the school year was done. I was kind of in survival mode still, even after being fully vaccinated by, what would have been April 1st. I had a month and a half still of just kind of like still in survival mode because of where I taught and the rules. And that's totally legit, but it was still survival mode and get through this. And it's like been maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks since all of that's been done. And I'm kind of looking back on the year and I'm like, that is totally it. And I mean, I will definitely talk to the professionals and the people in my life, but that seems to really track because I don't think I've felt free. And here's the weird thing that I'm not afraid to admit, that the level of sort of freedom and autonomy and choice that I have now, like I'm going to get on a plane on Thursday. 6 months ago, that would have like, no, I'm not going anywhere near a plane. Now I'm getting on a plane on Thursday and I'm pretty okay with it.
And here's the thing about that is like my sister, she's come and visited a couple of times and brought her kids on an airplane from Seattle and her friend, one of her friends from college, I want to get this as accurate as possible. She was responsible on a pretty high level for New York City's COVID response.
Oh, wow.
She's that level of medical scientist person.
Right.
And so Libby reached out to her to say, like, am I nuts for getting on an airplane? And her friend's
Mm.
response was, wear a mask.
Yeah. Right.
Wear a mask. And this
Yep.
is somebody that would know.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what they did, and it was fine. Because weirdly, just wearing a mask works still.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but Joel, you know, really, why are you just living in fear, man? That's really
because what I realized the other night in a group that, you know, was helpful was that, you know, before I smoked a cigarette, before I drank a beer, before I smoked a joint, fear was my first drug.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Being
Sure.
afraid was my first drug. It was the thing that I could totally escape into, and I felt protected me. And I probably overused it to keep me from having a good time, like riding a bike or, you know, whatever. Fear was my first drug, you know, and I didn't realize that, you know, even though I have a spiritual program of action and a spiritual path that talks about fear, it's like I still can get totally hooked by the feeling that fear gives me and what I think it's going to do. The shempa of it. Yeah. It's like, wow. Yeah. And that's what was happening. And also I think in a different way though, too, there is some grief. Like I got really teary eyed because, you know, I'm going to try to be vague, but like the experience that we were trying to figure out logistics for, that was something weekly that I looked forward to, because after we did the thing, we, you know, several of us would stay on and we'd play Zoom games and we'd talk. And it was like this weird little, you know, dystopian boost every week. And that's gone. And now I have to like be in person with other humans. And I'm like, I was grieving that for a minute.
Well, yeah, but now you get to celebrate, you know, going to get club sandwiches or whatever. And
I know.
Doing the things, going to Laszlo's.
Yeah, I know.
Like people.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, believe me, there's a part of me that friggin' loved Zoom. So I didn't have to do any of that. It was a great excuse to just not.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know me. You know, right. Like, Steve, you going to dinner? I don't know.
I'm out.
Yeah. Oh God. It's not that I, you know.
No, I know.
It's like I like people, but I don't know. That's I don't know. Am I gonna? Is it? Oh, you know. Fine. Well, and fine. I'll go eat the good food with the fun people. Twist my arm.
But that hesitation is, I think, and I'm always digging for like the underneath. What I'm feeling about my hesitation or my fear is that it's unknown. And that's what I felt in trying to work out all the logistics and do all the things. It's like,
what's unknown?
How this is going to, I'm telling you, I know it's not unknown, right? I know it's not unknown
because it's unknown. You unlock the door and put on the coffee pot.
Correct. But I'm here to tell you, Steve, with 100% honesty, and it's super helpful that you're very matter of fact. It really is. It always has been. But I'm really trying to honor that I have shut that part off. A survival tactic that I did, and Kirsten can attest to this because she was in the bunker, was that for March, April, and May, it took concerted effort for me to just say, the social world as I know it is completely gone. And I honestly accepted and started to grieve the loss of it. Because
that's interesting.
Because it was helpful for me to do that. I don't think that that's insane, but it certainly gives a few more hurdles now as I want to go to Laszlo's and eat veggie burgers or whatever.
See, I never had that experience.
Right.
Like I really never did. I was just like, oh, I guess we're doing Zoom now. And that's, I mean, and that's really kind of as far as that went. You know, like all the you know, family gatherings are probably not going to be a thing for a while, and it looks like we're doing Zoom, and I will pick up groceries. I mean, they'll bring the groceries to the car.
Yeah.
Okay.
For a while, like that was where impermanence of this experience would have been helpful. But every time that somebody's like, well, this is temporary, it, for whatever reason, it gave me a lot of peace to abandon hope. 100%.
See, I think that's what's been helpful for me is I did that like decades ago. like,
yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, but there's some like I think Pema Chodron talks about that in one of her books, or maybe it's one of her talks is called that, Abandon Hope. And that was like kind of a mantra for me early on. It was like hope is one of
I'm
them.
not saying I don't want to give the impression that I don't think that there's good in the world.
Yes, correct.
There's lots of good in the world.
Totally.
But I'm not going to say, well, people are probably going to make the right decision.
They're not.
Why would I say that? Why would I think that? There's almost no evidence to demonstrate that, except for the fact that now we appear to have some adults in leadership and we're getting vaccines out and like that. So there's that.
Yes.
But
yes, good things are happening and there is inherent good in all of us. Right.
Sure.
But there is no reason for me to stay attached to hope because that forces me to live in tomorrow.
That's also true. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good way of putting it. Yep.
And that was like
I just like, I'm really, this experience has been really good for like, well, today it's like this.
Today it's like
and
this.
Just, and that's it.
That's it.
Well, tomorrow it might be like this, or yesterday it was like this. None of that matters. It's completely irrelevant.
Right.
It's absolutely what?
I mean, I think Kirsten
I really wanted to get to, when it's like this, then it'll be good. And like, but it is what it is right now.
Exactly. Because early on, and even now, we're like, when this is over, XYZ is going to happen. When this is over, XYZ is going to happen. And that was so, I mean, I'm sure that was helpful to some people. It's not helpful to me because it's like, when
this is over, Garth Brooks is going to come play Memorial Stadium.
Dude, I have tickets to that, actually.
Oh, I'm actually a little bit envious.
Well, that's
just for the experience.
That's a gift of our in-laws. And I will, Mike Swingman's going to take us to the Cleaners because he hates Garth Brooks and Garth Brooks ruined country and yada, yada, yada. But when you see
it'll be a great time.
Dude, that guy's he's a showman.
It's going to be
and
a
it's
great
free.
time.
I've seen, this will be the second time I've seen Garth Brooks. I haven't paid for either times.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure
it's
it'll
all
be a
gravy.
blast. I mean, go get your bro country on. It's going to be great.
I wouldn't classify Garth Brooks as bro.
Yeah.
Country,
okay. Yeah, you're probably right. You're right.
It's not Georgia line. Come on. Yeah. No, it'll be good.
I still, one of my favorite things I've heard over the last 2 or 3 years is modern country is just hip hop for people who are afraid of black people. Woo! We just listen to it. It's very similar. You're just throwing some banjos, but it's really a little pedal steel. But
no, it's not even that anymore. Like modern country is like synthesized beats and like drum kits and just formulaic melodies. It's trash.
Yeah.
Oh, but dude, I mean, the point is still true though, that like you have always been really good at reminding me, and this is not about like helping Joel out, but it kind of is. Like you have always been really good. Like, dude, it'll be fine. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't know how to do this? You've been doing it for 40 odd years. Like, come on.
Right.
And that simple, like that statement cuts through the noise in my head. But I think sometimes we have to honor the noise. It's like nuance. Like you got to honor the noise, but you can't stay stuck in it because the next time it comes around, it's going to be fucking louder.
Yeah. And I get that. And that's, yeah, I mean, you have to process the feelings. Like I'm not trying to deny that that's a thing.
Sure.
Right. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, my dad died in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
That was weird and hard,
Yeah.
So there was feelings involved in that and trying to manage the logistics of having a funeral in the middle of all that. And
yeah,
it wasn't great,
Yeah, no.
But that was one of those deals where that's where like almost for a little while feelings don't matter.
Yeah.
Right. You have to get through the steps. You have to get through the logistical things.
Mm-hmm.
And then once all the, we didn't get to have the Methodist funeral ham salad. We didn't get to do any of that,
Right.
But had we done that, what I'm saying is that like once all those dishes are put away and everybody's gone home,
yeah,
then like that's when the real work starts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like getting through the functional bits of that was the easy part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. But even like I went over and hung out with my mom for a while this afternoon. We went and got a burger and like people. We went back to her house and just sat on her back porch and listened to the birds and talked. And it was, I mean, that was very nice. Just to be able to go do that, where we couldn't have done that or wouldn't have done it 6 months ago.
Right. And so you're able to be a part of, you both are able to be a part of each other's post logistical grieving process.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, it was kind of, once it was like, oh, well, we're all vaxxed except for, I mean, we're mostly vaxxed. The kids are still kind of in the middle of that, but like there's the evidence is showing that if you're, especially with the Pfizer vax, I don't know about the other ones, but like your odds of transmitting it, if you're asymptomatic, are very low.
Yeah. Right.
Which is nice. Not 100%, but very low.
Team Pfizer.
And so we're like all Pfizered up. And so we just hang out. Like once we kind of did the math and it's like, well, wait a minute, we can just hang out now.
Yeah.
And then it was like, once that consensus was reached, that's what we've done.
Well, yeah, that's been, I mean, that, that's what I was doing before we recorded tonight, was having Sunday night dinner with my in-laws, my mom and her partner. And it's like, what a fucking joy that is, and like how hard it was to not do that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, and I have been experiencing, the return to things a little more and more. But yeah, it is a beautiful thing to be a part of that reawakening. I want to be I want to be with myself through that, because I was not, and I'm sure there's people that identify with this. There were feelings, grief, fear, anxiety, sadness, excitement that I was not prepared for by any stretch, and that's kind of, I mean, I haven't lost a parent, and but that's the, like, once you get it was kind of like early life, like once we got the logistics down, I put all of the ability of those feelings in the basement, and now they're coming up. You know what I mean? Like
they're all mutated and albino and weird and have tentacles and fangs where they didn't used to.
Yeah. Or they've been the piece of fruit on the fruit cart that I let sit there and fester.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And you got to get rid of it at some point. You got to deal with it.
Right.
You ever seen that horror movie, The Babadook?
No, I know you've talked about it. I haven't watched it.
Yeah, you should. I mean, I know you don't. You don't do scary movies, but it has this. That's
not entirely true, but I don't want to watch that one. It sounds terrifying.
It is pretty terrifying, but it has this kind of overall moral of that. And I won't give away the whole thing, but it's like you have to make peace with your demons, and they're always going to kind of be around as long as they're kind of chained up and you don't let them out. It's not going to tear your life up,
Oh, I think the last quote horror movie I actually watched was The Ring.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty good. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that freaked me out.
That was pretty freaky.
Yeah,
I liked it. It was good.
I liked the
Is the Babadook gory, or is it all mental?
I think it's pretty gory.
See, I can't.
It's not gory. No,
I don't. That's where I'd fall off, like the Saw movies and all that.
No,
like,
it's not gore. It's not gore porn like that.
Yeah.
It's like monster, scary in the dark. What is that hiding back there, coming to get you? A monster comes alive. Yeah. People, I've told students, like, guys, you need the Babadook. It was scary, and they just roll their eyes, like, are you serious? Like, they think it's like
Gotcha.
Yeah, but I thought
one of the scariest things that I've ever heard of, thing that freaked me out the most, is I think it's the first Alien movie where you can't see the thing, but you hear the tick, 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 tick.
Yes. Oh, there's a lot of that early on. There's a lot of that, and it's kind of got an Exorcist vibe to it too. Like you're like, is this monster possessing somebody? That movie freaked me out when I was a kid.
I used to hang out on the stairs that the priest falls down at the end of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's in Georgetown in DC. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The Exorcist stairs. It was a thing.
Huh.
Have we had the Das Boat conversation? Have you seen Das Boat?
We have had this conversation, and I haven't watched it yet.
Oh my God. We need to have a Das Boat party.
All right. That'll be something we can do together.
Totally. Because that movie, you got to watch it with a decent sound system. And if you do, I guarantee it's the least boring thing you'll ever see.
Okay. I'm in.
It's so intense.
I'm in.
Oh my God. I love that movie.
I watched Dunkirk the other day.
I don't know what that is.
Oh my God. It's about the Dunkirk situation in World War II in France, where the Allied or the Axis forces just sort of cornered the British army at Dunkirk, and they were just like cornered them and were just picking them off, and they had no way to get British troops out of there.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
So it's pretty gnarly, but all of these civilian boats left Britain and picked up all these troops and took them back to Britain.
Wow.
It's pretty intense. It's Christopher Nolan, and it's really like silent and like you need to watch it.
Okay.
Highly recommend.
Okay. It took me 10 years to see Saving Private Ryan, but
okay. Yeah. Okay.
And I'm very glad that I watched that.
Yeah. Dunkirk's pretty cool. Well, man, thanks for letting me process with you.
Of course.
And all of you out there listening.
Yes. If people wanted to chime in, how would they do that, Joel?
Well, Steve, they can email us at ttbbpodcast@gmail.com.
He did it.
Or you can find us on the old Instagram at Trying to Be Better Podcast.
Yeah.
And yeah.
You know, we lost an Instagram follower. Somebody got tired of us.
Well, that tracks.
Whatever.
I'm trying to spread out the amount of posts I do. I still haven't put any of the references that we had on our concert one last time. I need to do that. But by the time this one airs, they'll be on there.
Sweet.
Yeah, and if you don't like it, unfollow.
Whatever. Right, unfollow.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, don't have one.
If you don't like it, don't have one.
God.
Well, we're gonna go to a baseball game on Wednesday.
I'm looking forward to that.
I am too. We're gonna watch some baseball.
Yeah. Take me out to the ball game.
How many wieners are you gonna eat, Steve?
47,000.
Gross.
Can't wait.
Gross.
It's gonna be
Can't
great.
wait. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for
it's good talking to you.
let me take over the topic tonight.
It's perfect. It's great.
I appreciate your candor. Yeah. Love you, man.
As well. All right. Love you too. Talk to you later.
Yeah.
If you only knew how. he shrugs and bids the day goodbye. Speeding arrow, sharp and narrow. What a lot of fleeting matters you have spurred. Several seasons with their treasons. But the maiden's calling, love is calling you. Did he doubt or did he try? Answers are plenty in the fight. Talk about your pennies, talk about your deals. One man gathers what another man steals. Seashell washed by the sun and the dawn. Here so long, he's got to call.